First of all, my name is Daphne Rizari. I have the honor, thank you. Uh, I have the honor to serve as chair for this beloved organization, Herstory Writers Workshop. And on behalf of our board of directors, I would like to welcome each of you. I also would like to call out our board of directors. So please, when I call your name, stand up so people know who we are. Linda Mejias is here with us, one of our board directors. Barbara Allen is here with us. Barbara, thank you. The star of the board, Jason Starr. Our newest board member, Eileen Ryan. Linda Howard Weisman. Welcome. And our advisory board members, Angela Zimmerman, Kathy Rosenthal, Angela Dosira, and Bob Keeler, who are not able to join us this afternoon, but who have been working with us to make this happen today. Thank you. So I welcome each of you to our 21st annual gala. Voices United, Stories of Resistance, and how appropriate given the time that we are living here now in this country, right? I want to thank you, all our friends, our partners, our sponsors, supporters, staff, facilitators, volunteers, and honorees. Thank you for your past, present, and future support in advancing our mission. And I know many of you are familiar with our mission, which is bringing unheard voices into the public arena and transforming lived experiences into written memoirs powerful enough to change our minds, hearts, and policy. Today's program has been carefully crafted and nurtured by our founder and artistic director, Erica Duncan. Our executive director, Serena Ligori. Thank you, Serena. Our staff and our volunteers. And on behalf of the board, we want to thank you for your hard work and for the many hours you have devoted to Herstory and this gala. Please note, our board is most deeply grateful. And at this time, I want to share with you one of the most important projects I had the opportunity to work on this year. I embarked into a program. Now it's when I need my glasses. I'm going into a small print now. This happened when you were 40. That's it, not going any further, forward. So, as Herstory Chair this year, I embarked on the implementation of a Herstory program with volunteer high school students at the Centralized School District. And also with me, that project was possible thanks to my friend and colleague Patricia Christian, who I want to acknowledge, who's sitting with our students in the back. Patricia, thank you for your support to this project. So these students agreed to write about their experience crossing the border. And as an active participant into that group, I also decided to give birth to my story, the story that brought me here from the warm shores of Puerto Rico to sometimes the very, very cold shores of Long Island. And I want to share with you the beginning of that story. I'm not going to read it all, but the beginning of it. Donde vas tú? By the way, it's on page 3, if you like to just go there with me. Donde vas tú, vamos todos. Fueron las punzantes palabras de mi madre cuando me dio un último abrazo el 8 de agosto de 1991 en el aeropuerto Luis Muñoz Marín en San Juan, Puerto Rico. Where you go, we all go, were the words of my mother when she hugged me for the last time before my departure on August 8, 1991, from the Luis Muñoz Marin Airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We both had surrendered to the idea that my future was in New York, in communion with a language and climate that would make me cry amidst the most imperfect corners of my island. Wherever you go, your family goes, and your country goes, so make sure to do good, my daughter, added my mother. While I nodded with eyes inundated with tears of fear, a fear of uncertainty and agony. Thousands of questions haunted me as we walked to the gate where our hearts were finally ripped apart. And although I didn't cross the border like many of my students have done, I understand the experience of leaving many beloved things behind to come to this beautiful and blessed country, to do good and to continue to make this the best country in the world. And for that, I'm very, very grateful to be here. And now, before I start crying and then I don't look like I'm 40, I'm going to introduce our Executive Director, Serena Ligore, for whom I ask a big, big round of applause. And I want to share that, Serena, I do admire you tremendously. Serena works tirelessly advocating and facilitating many opportunities for the unheard voices to make sure they have a voice. I admire your unwavering commitment to Herstory. It's inspiring to me, and we are very blessed to have you, Serena. Thank you.
Daphne, I think your plan was to make me cry before we've heard our writers. On behalf of Herstory, I want to welcome all of you here today. I have a little speech that's written, but I don't think I need to look at it. How many, by a show of hands, have been in a Herstory Writers Workshop? I just want to see hands. Let's see. This is wonderful. I am so thankful because each of you are Herstory. You are what makes Herstory's heartbeat beat. I think Erica's vision for all of these years has been seen, and as we are continuing to grow, we're seeing it grow and grow with each of you. I want to shout out our folks from our VAW Writers Workshop in the city. Where are you guys? Say hi. There we are. Hey there. And our Long Beach students and our Hofstra students, where are you guys? Say hi. We have Central Islip and Mineola. Where is everybody from there? Get more? Yes. And we have two workshops in our community, our Westbury workshop and our Patchogue workshop. Where are you guys? Let me see you wave. Hi. Anissa and Chris. I think that, as Daphne said, we are in a time where our stories are needed more than ever. And living on Long Island in an area that is still not caught up with the times, we in this room reflect the diversity that I'd love to see across Long Island. Let's see that happen. I also want to thank who you met at registration, Irene, our wonderful operations manager. Say hi. And my fabulous sister-in-law, Tara, who helped out, and Dan and Lauren, you guys helped out at registration. Thank you. I think that what you'll hear today are stories that will hopefully inspire you, bring you hope, and bring you solace in these often very sad times. When I think back to beginning to work at Herstory, we worked with writers who talked about being incarcerated at 16 and 17, talked about being in isolated confinement there. We've worked really hard for the last 5 years on this bill, which is now law. Raise the Age has happened. And I would say that each of you who came to those lobby meetings, spoke your stories in the media, spoke out to the press, read with us, and were brave enough to share your stories, because often our stories are so connected to stigma that is often hard to push past that. And what we've seen is that our writers push past this to do better for others. And that's really the mission of Herstory, to use your story to change and empower others. And so I hope that what you'll hear today will empower you to continue writing with us, continue your journey. And I'd like to now talk about our first honoree, Jason Starr. So Jason is a fabulous board member, but the thing I like most about Jason is that he's not only charismatic and personal, but incredibly polite. It may be his southern roots, but he is absolutely politic and polished, and that is often needed in a space where it's easy to lose our cool and our tempers with local lawmakers here on Long Island. When he started at the NYCLU in Suffolk and then expanded to in Nassau and then expanded to Suffolk as well. But one of the things that he first did is we had a writing workshop where he came and wrote with correctional officers and formerly incarcerated inmates that were working together. And so we began to talk and explore these issues of incarceration. And he said to us, this is the first time I've been in a group where stories are being told and we're not fighting with each other. We're just telling each other's experiences from whatever point of view we have them from. And so I think it's probably important to note that Herstory is not about being either, a certain political party, but we are absolutely against hate, and we are absolutely against racism and the kind of xenophobia that we see happening right now. And there is no one who does a better job of helping to support this mission than Jason. He's served as a treasurer, he's come diligently to board meetings, he's advised us on financial issues, he's played a really critical role in building who we are as a organization. And that is something that we absolutely, and I am personally very, very grateful for. And I want to thank Jason here and wish him the best in his new role in Governor Cuomo's office. Who he's made it through the budget, so he's still breathing. So I'm going to ask Jason to come up and thank you, Jason, for your wonderful work with us. Him with a print of Lady Liberty with a tear representing our current times.
Oh, thank Wow, good afternoon. How's everybody feeling out there? So I'll be brief because there's a lot more to do and to hear from people much more important than me today. But thank you so much, Serena, Erica, my fellow board members of Herstory, the honorees, Linda, Anissa, the folks at Hofstra. I spent almost 5 years out here on Long Island. I did not know the place when I came, and I find often that I find myself in these new situations and always figure out a way to find family. I think people who care about the same things, who have the same values, whether you came from the shores of Puerto Rico or whether you grew up in a little country town in South Carolina or anywhere in between, like-minded people with the same values, we find each other. We find each other so that we can build together and we can co-create together and we can make space together and we can, hopefully get to a place where the world as we envision it is the world that we live in. And so it feels really good to be back home because I do consider this place to be home. I consider you to be friends and I consider you to be family. And I just want you to know that while I get on my spaceship and go up to Albany to that place where we can do things like raise the age of criminal responsibility, because no 16 and 17-year-olds should be automatically prosecuted, and no 16 and 17-year-olds should go to jails and prison with adults. While we do things like making sure that we conceal criminal convictions so people who made mistakes in their past don't have to be saddled with the collateral consequences in the future. We can go and we can do these things because of the work that we do here, telling stories, being open and connecting to people. So I say let's continue, let's grow in that, and let's build, regardless of whether it's here on Long Island, if it's in New York City, if it's in Albany and beyond. I just feel so warm, I feel so loved, I feel so full. So thank you so much for the honor, and just know that I take all of this and I meditate on it and I think about it, but that I'm open and ready to give it right back to the world, just like you've given it to me. So thank you so much. Thank you, Herstory, and it's just a wonderful day to be here. God bless you.
Next, we're going to introduce our absolutely wonderful founder, Erica Duncan, who there is no introduction needed.
Yeah, and it's just wonderful to see all of you here and to know so many of you and to know so many of the stories. And we're honored that we have several people who were with us and riding with us 20 years ago, and people who have just started. And we feel that every time we have this kind of event, hopefully new people will join us. I just wanted to add to Serena's hellos. We also have Queens High School in Adelphi with us. And we also have St. Joseph's College and Metro signaling. Well, the problem is that one always leaves out something by accident, so we'll later if we think. Anyway, so I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote for the journal and just tell you that I guess this year is more important than ever, I think, for me personally, as Daphne so beautifully said, for all of us who are working for justice at a point where things are getting darker and darker in certain ways, and yet brighter. So I had written this at a moment of time when, in the words of Nancy Pelosi, the Statue of Liberty had tears in her eyes. And my daughter Gwen, who's here, please stand. It's like who did the painting. We both agreed that that was such an important image for this year. So can our stories help hold up the torch of compassion and welcome and bring back the light that the oppressors are trying to extinguish? Can they help our most vulnerable citizens hold on through the darkness, uncertainty, and danger? As I travel from one workshop to another, seeing how our young immigrant students try to let their voices rise in the moment of their fear, seeing how the incidents of racism, violence, and hate crimes are rising every day, and the whole sense of our future is becoming increasingly unknown. I think of how literature and the arts have traditionally held a special place in times of suppression of people's most basic human rights, health, freedom, and an equal opportunity to prosper. I think of the words of then board member Nina Wolf, who in response to violence against immigrants in Farmingdale, asked us to take on the mandate to work in communities where violence and hatred had erupted. I think of how we first started to work in Patchogue shortly after the murder of Marcelo Lucero, and how carefully we chose each new program with the hope that each story could help conquer and change hearts, minds, and policy. I think about how the notion of passing along the dare to care, the cornerstone of Herstory's pedagogy and philosophy, is now more needed than ever to help us to take action, to stem the destructive tide. Together, over these 21 years, we have worked to take our empathy-based toolkit to those who were most vulnerable and in need of a voice, teaching our riders, one by one, how to raise their voices so that a reading or listening stranger might care. So, what happens when those in power are teaching us to fear the other, the stranger? How can we band together to help those in power see the Statue of Liberty's tears? And I won't read the rest of this, it's on page 5, but I really want to herald in the program with these words. And I think the readings you'll hear today maybe help answer how we can help her hold up her torch of welcome, how we can see the light, and how we can really make other people feel the Statue of Liberty's tears. And it's a great honor to introduce Pat Gorman, our first reader, who wrote 20 years ago in one of our very first Herstory workshops and in Southampton. And as a preface to her story, when she first came, she had been diagnosed with a very rare illness that affects only certain Native American tribes. And she was told by Western medicine that she had 2 to 5 years to live. Her journey has not been easy, but now, almost 21 years later, it is with great happiness and excitement that I welcome Pat, who said that the writing journey was part of the healing of bringing her the two sides of her blood together. So welcome, Pat.
I wanted to say a couple of things that I learned how to write with Erica at our little group on Long Island, and now I'm looking around at Erica's vision, and it is extraordinary to have come from this first little group, and we all look the same, and now it's everybody, just like Erica wanted, and I'm really thrilled for that. And not only did I learn to write, but what I really learned was that everyone has an amazing story. And that really changed my view of the world. Okay, so. This is towards the very beginning of the book. Before I left New York, I wrote a will. That's what my brother Peter makes everyone do before he takes them deep into the Amazon, where there are no vehicles but dugout canoes, no doctors, no shots, and often no other people for days. A necessary precaution, he says. I know he wants them to take the dangers seriously, but at least they start in robust health. I wrote my will because I thought I might be dying. Knew that I might never come back from this place where I understand nothing, where I can't imagine how people function in a heat so hot I can barely breathe without burning my lungs. I wrote my will after what the West Coast doctor confirmed, who dealt with the 8 tribes that get this illness. Tribes so small I hadn't even recognized the names of most of them. My friend Marion set it up. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, guys. The doctor was her brother. She'd make him tell me the truth, she said. No smoothing over. I felt so bad. I suspected the truth already, but I wanted to hear it, know that someone knew. I was too weak to sit up for long, so my husband, Tuna, dialed for me, and at the appointed time, placed the receiver by my head as I lay in bed. The bad thing about this illness, the doctor said, his disembodied voice sounding thin and tinny, is that it's progressive. The initial period is like extended anaphylactic shock. The body swells up enormously, and the fevers run high. He paused, and I could feel him hovering between nice doctor and truth teller, waiting for an indication from me. I stared at the almost unrecognizable feet, hot red feet, round as volleyballs, hands like inflated balloons, all covered with beaded sweat. I had nothing to say. If you don't die in the first few months, he went on, choosing the role of truth teller when the silence stretched too long, you'll probably live 2 to 5 years. That's the average. My heart began thudding loudly, the sound filling my ears. I had to concentrate to hear him. There is one good thing, he said, switching his voice to TV announcer cheerful. A small percentage of people get better. 5% maybe. And if you get better, it all goes away. Like a switch that turns off. I could almost see a mechanical smile on the other end of the line, 3,000 miles away, holding out the shiny brass ring just a bit too far out of range. I can take it out. Thank you. How do I get to be one of those 5%? I stammered out the words, reaching for wisdom. No one knows. The tone was breezy, a bit dismissive. What? I was confused. I pressed my head further into the phone, hoping I'd hear something different if his voice was clearer. Well, there's no reason to really follow these people. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. We'll do that with the microphone. There's no reason to follow these people. There aren't many of them. It's dying out as their blood becomes more diluted, as they intermarry more, he added, as though I wouldn't understand. Besides, there's nothing we can do for them. I realized with choking anger that his disregard was like the lie in my blood. The lie that says there is something wrong with the red cells that carry the Indian antigen, and the white immune system that is conquering and killing them. An ironic analogy for the white culture wiping out the red, a kind of genocide locked within me. I lay there, one of them, and heat rushed into my heart. Well, of course, there's nothing you can do for them if you don't figure out what makes them better, I said harshly. I was unforgiving. I'd had such hopes for this conversation, set up days in advance. At last, someone knew something. Now I felt tossed in the bin with my unknown relatives, an endangered species hunted to extinction. The conversation ended abruptly, but the message stayed with me. I'd probably die. Western doctors couldn't help me. I was losing, slipping, becoming crushed somewhere deep. It was real. I knew then that I must take my chance and come down here to live with Don Lupe. Now, it couldn't wait. And so I made my will and gave away my possessions in case I never came back. The silk suits I wore to the UN as a consultant, the $200 a pair shoes and boots I wore to meetings at MTV, the glittery clothes I wore to the Grammys, I threw them all into a big black garbage bag and gave them to my younger sister, Regina, who was almost as tall as I was. Maybe she could wear them while teaching in the Bronx. My special hydraulic acupuncture table, a gift from Tuna nearly 3 months before, and meant to last for a lifetime career, went to a colleague along with my practice. Finally, I wrote to all of my patients and said I wouldn't be coming back, that I couldn't help them anymore. As I did these things, I watched my life dissolve like salt in water, like the taste of tears. The few precious things I kept, I put into a will with messages for each brother and sister and Tuna. I lay in bed, seeing the items in my mind, cataloging them. Do we all cry with our stories? Hang on, I'm getting there. Sorry, guys. I contemplated the Indian things, the things my father had given me. Who should have them? My brothers and sisters? A museum? I was the most Indian person left in my family, and that wasn't much. Not much at all. No one I gave them to would really understand their meaning, the things my father told me, and the little I knew would be gone when I died. But they were valuable. When my parents died, my sisters took a couple of small, worn baskets, damaged on their sides, things we used every day, to Sotheby's. Sotheby's went wild. These were Sioux, they said. Nobody had authentic Sioux items. The Sioux didn't trade with the white man. These were priceless. Sotheby's would be happy to auction them off for us. And they hadn't even seen the beads, the pipes, the rugs, the headdress. My sisters returned saddened. They'd hoped to learn something about themselves, I think, not just a price. Just as my father had carried these things through his life, I'd carried some of these things with me through mine, through lofts, apartments, and communes, college and jobs, boyfriends and traveling. When I'd open the boxes they were in, I'd be startled, as though I'd accidentally opened someone else's belongings. Then I'd feel stabbed, pierced by the memory that they were part of me, a deep part of me. But somehow I was not part of them. Here were these objects, sacred and everyday, smelling of fires and food, sheened with the oils of many hands. But I was cut off from their secrets, their comforts, their people, my people. I wasn't an Indian, not really, not anymore. I'd stop breathing for a moment, then close the box quickly and push it away, until I'd forget it was there, only to discover it another day with the same surprise and sadness. I knew Tuna would find these things if I died. Give them back to my brothers and sisters, I said in the will, thinking at least these things would remind them of our father, even if at the same moment they were forgetting who we were. Thank you.
Now, maybe, does it work without the microphone even for me? No. Okay. The microphone, is the microphone working? Okay. Anyway, and just hearing Patty's story again, you know, and thinking of the very first workshop where she wrote it. And I don't think her story wouldn't be the same without her. She's also the first person who dared me to train other facilitators and have the replication project, which we'll talk more about. So now as we go forward into our program, as Daphne said, I think one of the most important parts of our work this year has been with young people who cross the border, many of them by themselves. And it is a real honor to introduce the author of one of these stories. We have heard that probably Ms. Magazine will be publishing the selection from Central Islip High School, you know, online. You know, we really ask all of you, these are stories at this point which we probably in a wider way than this comfortable close gathering will have to share anonymously. But we ask all of you if you can help share it, if you can help, again, those who maybe still have a heart, even if Trump doesn't, to care and shed tears. Very proud to introduce the author of this story and to introduce Xochitl Valdespino, who is a student at West Hampton Beach High School, who will be reading the translation in English, and you'll hear the first couple of paragraphs from the young woman who read it. So, I'll read.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Me siento muy contenta al estar aquí y poderles compartir mi historia. Cada mañana, al abrir mis ojos y veía el resplandor del sol, escuchaba un buenos días de mi madre. Se sentía tan hermoso convivir en familia. Los consejos y todo el amor que mi madre tenía para sus hijos eran únicos. Los recuerdo muy bien. Ella me llamaba de cariño, mi niña, la niña de mis ojos. Cómo la recuerdo a ella y todo el amor que me brindaba. Yo amo a mi madre.
Every morning I opened my eyes and saw the brightness of the sun. I heard a good morning from my mom, and it felt so good to get along with my family. Her advice and all of her motherly love towards her children was one of a kind. I remember very well when she used to call me mi niña, my little girl, or la niña de mis ojos, the apple of her eyes. How I remember her and all of the love she has given me. I love my mother. My childhood was sad but beautiful at the same time. Even though I grew up without the love of a father, my mother had the courage and bravery to be a father and a mother at the same time. To me, she is a fighter, a warrior. She would give her own life for her children. Since I was 7, I have always dreamed of becoming a doctor, and I know I will reach my dream. My mom is my inspiration. A sad memory that I carry is about the morning when my aunt, my mom's sister, and her husband got killed. Wow, that was a hard time. It was like my heart had stopped. That was really hard.
Microphone.
Yeah, the microphone.
Microphone.
It was really hard and sad for my mom. She fell into depression. She didn't want to talk to anybody. I was sad because my house was full of sadness and grief. There was no more hugs and good mornings from my mom. She was depressed for a long time. One night, 2 strangers knocked strongly on our door. We got up. My mom was very nervous, so the only thing we did was remain silent. The night felt endless, but thank God nothing happened to us. The morning came. We were sleep deprived because we were really scared and couldn't sleep. I told my mom that I didn't want to live there anymore because I was really scared. She said, "Ay, hija, and what are you going to do? Talk to your father and see what he has to say." I talked to my dad. I explained to him why I didn't want to live in my country anymore. But besides that, I also wanted to move because I wanted to get to know him. I was very small when he left to live in the United States, and he always said he would try to bring me to live with him. Days passed and I had no response from my father, but I kept insisting. I have very present every moment that I shared with my mom. I remember that on the afternoon of April 23rd, I was alone with her. I was combing her hair, making new hairstyles, and at the same time making jokes about El Chavo del Ocho. She was laughing so much. I loved to spend time with her. Suddenly the phone rang. I was very anxious and ran to answer the call. It was my father. He asked if I still wanted to travel, and I said yes. He said that I would travel the next day, and I wasn't expecting that. I was turning 15 years old the next day, and the sad part was that I was not going to be able to spend the day with my family. It wasn't good news for my mom. She looked like she was angry and sad. The afternoon went by and the night came. My mom looked sad and preoccupied. She didn't talk to me. I couldn't sleep that night. I was really excited. I didn't know then how hard the goodbyes were going to be, much less the trip. The day of the trip came and I got up very early. I went up to my mom and I said hi to her. "Mommy, you know I love you," I said. She looked at me saddened and said, "Iha, are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes, Mom," I replied. "And you know what? You're going to be the reason for me to fight, to succeed, and to endure everything." I started to get ready for the moment I would get picked up, but all I could do was look at my mom and her pained and sad look. The moment to say goodbye came and I went outside. I saw my mom's sad face when she said, "Iha, do you still want to go?" I only said, "Yes, Mom, it's time for me to go." She didn't want to hug me. She couldn't hold back her tears. And then she said something that still resonates in my ears, and those words are engraved deep in my heart. "Iha," she said, "I wish you luck, and please forgive me for not celebrating your 15 años the way you've always dreamed of. The only thing I'm going to ask of you is please never forget that you are leaving your mother here, the woman who gave you life. Remember that even though you are going to be far away from here, you will always be mi niña pequeña, my little girl. Take with you all the memories. Remember to always fight and never give up. I trust you." I couldn't say a word. Finally, I said, "Goodbye, Mommy. I'll always have you with me," and I left. She just kept her sad eyes on me. I then went to my grandma's where my aunts and grandparents, everyone looked at me like, will she make it? My grandmother told me, "Iha, never look back. Good luck." I didn't know what happened to me. I couldn't speak. I just hugged my nephew. The person who was responsible to pick me up showed up. Suddenly, I saw my mom holding the door. I looked at her with love as usual, and she asked me again, "Do you still want to leave?"
Thank you so much for sharing. And this is one of the many, many stories that many of you have written in our workshops and have shared. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our next writer.
No, Daphne is going to introduce Linda.
I'm not introducing our next writer. I'd like to introduce again our board chair, Daphne Rosari, who will introduce our next honoree.
Hello again. To continue with our great program, just wipe your tears, right? Take a deep breath. And let's celebrate and honor our second honoree. And at this time, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our second honoree, a woman with a vision who I deeply admire, personally and professionally. This woman, to me, is the definition of advocacy and a servant leader. She has never forgotten her roots, her family, and her community. Her life purpose is to advocate for her community and for those voices that remain voiceless. She is my soul sister, Linda Mejias. She's tiny like this.
Very petite, concentrated. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to extend a heartfelt gratitude to Erica, Serena, to Daphne, and the rest of the board, to Irene for all of her hard work. Congratulate the other honorees, Jason, and our Hofstra partners, and Anissa. Well deserved, and I'm humbled to be honored along with you. You know, her story means so much to me, and I thank God for having brought Daphne into my life, who then brought me to her story, because it is exactly the type of work that I strive to do in my life, which is to eradicate hate, to bring tolerance and love. So many of you who know me know that for me, God is the number one entity in my life, and my whole life is God. And to me, God is love. And where there is love, there is no hate. Where there is light, dark cannot extinguish the light. And this is what this organization does. It gives an opportunity to those people who are living in darkness and who don't have a voice to have a voice. And to have a voice in such a way so as to make it meaningful to those who don't understand them, who don't tolerate them. To bring together groups who normally would not be brought together. To bring an understanding of one another. And that to me is the most beautiful, loving thing that we can do in this world, especially since, you know, we are such a diverse group in this country and Long Island, and it's a beautiful thing to bring us together. And the first time that I came and I heard a reading, I was floored and I was crying, and you know, I always cry every time I hear everybody's story, because it brings their life experience to the forefront in such a beautiful manner. And I think to myself, wow, these are kids, these are women with no education or who are new to this country, who don't speak the language. And what Erica has done is give them an opportunity to not only tell their story, but to tell it in such an eloquent way, in such a beautiful, well-written way. So I want to thank everybody here, thank all my friends and family for coming, my Wellesley sisters who came out to support me today, and I'm hoping that they'll become involved too. So thanks again, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their luncheon. God bless. I think at this time I'd like to bring up Barbara Allen, who is also on the board with us and the founder of Prison Families Anonymous, and she's going to...
Wait, wrong Barbara.
Barbara?
Yeah, I'm Barbara Levin.
I'm sorry, Barbara Levin.
Thank you, Linda, and we're so thankful to honor you today. Barbara Levin is one of our Herstory facilitators, as well as Margarita and Elsa and Helen, Andrea. We have facilitators in training, Daphne and Gina. Where are you guys? Raise your hands, say hello. A big round of applause, because our facilitators implement the method, and they really do connect with our kids, with our adult writers, and our facilitators are the connection, the thread that connects her story in our heads to on the ground work. And they go beyond, beyond, beyond. We have stories of all the wonderful things that these facilitators do for the writers, including traveling 2 hours to get to Rikers Island, including staying extra with children or writers who need additional help. Our facilitators give so much more to the programs, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge and thank them and for their wonderful, wonderful work with our students and our writers. So thank you.
Hi. Really close. I'm not good at this, so I'm doing the best I can. I'm Barbara Levin, and I'm a facilitator, and I do various workshops. Two of my participants are going to be reading their pieces today, and I am very proud of them. I'm proud of all of my students. My high school students, I call them all my babies. But one is going to be speaking from Hofstra Long Beach High School workshop, and the other is from Queens High School for Teaching, a Delphi workshop, and I'm very proud to introduce them. Papia, you're going to be the first.
When you're one, you quite don't understand how the world world works. When you're 1 year old, you climb into the hands of others, you smile at others, and you laugh when they play peekaboo with you. You are your mother's proudest possession as she thanks the many people who smile at you and call you adorable, smart, big, and just like your mother. After you are 1, you develop emotions. You develop happiness when you get a cookie, sadness when you're scolded, and anxiety when you're separated. You are taught to call 911 in case of emergencies, and well taught not to touch hot things on the stove, and that you should not be involved in adult conflicts because you're too young to understand anything and irrelevant. Fear dwelled in my parents after the date 9/11/2001, and for me, at the age of 1, it was the start of my labels, such as being told to go back to a country foreign to me, or not being able to play with others for being told my skin was the color of their feces. Living in a beautiful beachy town where I thought everyone was compassionate and understanding, I came across a beautiful warm day where my sister asked me if I wanted to go somewhere with her. My sister, she was the one who led me to dance when I came from rough elementary school days. She was the one who taught me enough that I could have skipped a grade. She who made me who I am today. My sister taught me how to read and write before any of my teachers did, but suddenly I was ashamed of her. I was scared my peers would see her. I was afraid they would point and laugh at her. I was scared that they would taunt me about my sister with the towel on her head, but there were no peers around. It was just her and I and the beautiful day surrounding us. There were many beautiful days that I'd forgotten, but this was one I couldn't forget. We walked through the sunshine and greenery when a passing car diverted our attention. There it was, a car passing, honking, harassing, and humiliating us. Only God knows the amount of anger I felt towards them for hating on us just because my sister wore a head cover. If only I could comprehend what they were saying to us, but at a young age, I couldn't process the vulgar language. I could tell they were angry by the tone of their shouting voice, and I got enraged and ready to yell and scream at them, repropriating the feeling that they gave me when my sister stopped me. She said, "No, don't do it. If you do, you'll be equal to them." She was right. Sometimes silence is the key. Silence made us look like angels, quiet and resilient against the screaming banshees. Being silent was powerful as we symbolized exactly what we stand for, peace. As a teen living in today's world, I live in the fear of being killed or harassed or being looked at as different. I feel that the fingers will continue to be pointed at us, the Muslim population, and that we will continue to be blamed for the action of others, for this generation and the ones that follow. I'm scared of the words that will continue to sink in the arms and legs of others, whether they're bruises or scars. I'm scared to come out to the powerful person I believe myself to be. Call me selfish, but I look up to myself. It's hard to be the change you want in the world when you're judged by others constantly, and when you see your successful people floating in the river dead or kidnapped and killed for their faith. Only I can change my life knowing that my destiny is God willing. Only I can take initiative in whom I choose to be. Like the people who are unlikely to do anything other than provide their kids with food and shelter, or I could be a brave leader, someone that other kids won't have. A role model with the sense of pride, not to be ingrained in the victory of others' hatred, but to love ourselves and rise above that teaches us, the adults, why we should not say the things we say or do the things we do. I'm successful in the little things I do. I'm successful through my words, in which may or may not be remembered in others. I'm successful in the way I know I hold a skeleton of bones and fear, which only provides me with the strength for the worst and my hope that I share with people, knowing that I can do much better than just to stay in my abode and worry and drown in my sorrows. I'm most successful in my smile. I'm successful in the smile I give others because behind every person is a thing that drives them in pain and sorrow. Because in every person there is a voice that's telling them something negative, and another hurtful word adds much more to the overfilled lava in our hearts that dwells in our tears. Every smile forces a bright aspect, something that is yet to come through from all this pain we endure of feeling hopelessness. We are not hopeless. United as one, we can do anything. My smile is my victory, my pride, my honor that no one can knock down. My smile is my first step out of the fear and my first step out of the fear and step into the power I choose to have, the power of benevolence. I will hold on. I will lead out of the heartache and of malignant people and into the good in our hearts and share that of what is now a memory. I will define who I am and hopefully continue to be a proud soul.
She's remarkable, and she's just reflective of the other participants in the workshop that we hold every Tuesday afternoon in Hofstra. They're just amazing. And now we're going to have Malachi come and read his book.
Some people have problems that they can change, while others just have to live with it. Unfortunately, I'm the latter of the two. I'm not the greatest looking guy. Well, wait.
He wrote this a couple of years ago.
Just a tiny bit of insight. This was the first thing I wrote for Herstory. So there's a little more self-hate in there. Or the coolest either. Again. But apparently, I'm the darkest skinned guy you'll ever meet. Everyone has a joke about it too. If I turn off the light, you're invisible. Ha ha. Very funny. Or how about when the bus goes under the bridge and there's 3 seconds of darkness and someone has to yell, "Where's Malachi?" Hilarious. Everyone laughs like as if their favorite comedian just said their best joke, and there I am, laughing, not enjoying the joke, but just not trying to show the embarrassment that I feel inside. It's like there's a huge billboard behind me saying, "Make fun of this poor kid." It could be me overreacting, but when you hear this every day, it starts to get annoying, maybe even depressing. I find myself up at night wondering, why? Why did I have to have dark skin? I could have had my mom's lighter skin, but I got my dad's skin instead. Do you know how frustrating it is to hate something you're forced to live with? And not like an annoying family member, because you can still escape them. My skin is a part of me. It was like as if the world wanted me to lose, like as if it hated me. I started to hate me. It wasn't until I realized that the answer was right in front of me. I even said it earlier, my skin is a part of me. I can't do anything. That scared me because I was so steadfast on not accepting my skin. I realized I can't do anything but love myself, because once I do that, no one can hurt me. I learned that I'm not perfect, but who is? No one is perfect. We all have insecurities. But we overcome them by learning to love ourselves, because if we do love ourselves first, who will?
Malachi is just a remarkable young man. The pieces that he writes down, he's it. Okay, he's everything, and that's what he really is supposed to be. Okay, so now Erica has forced me to read a piece that I've written. So I'm going to read this, and hopefully I can get through it. I call the piece "Going South." All right. Hurry up, Barbara Jean, hurry up. you're going to get us killed. You're going to get us lynched. My cousin Tutu said as she dragged me towards the train, my toes scraping the polished shiny floor as she dragged me along, past the beautiful gleaming wooden walls, counters, as she pulled me through the station. I remember how familiar the area seemed to me. Clean, crisp, orderly, the way things were supposed to be, with Roberta, my wide-eyed, frightened little sister, closely following. I was dragged. Toes scraping the floor. I did not understand. I just could not wrap my mind around what was happening. I did not know what she meant or why she was dragging me. What in the world had I done? I had not yet learned about racism. I did not know about separate but equal. I had not yet embraced that heartache. But my 7-year-old self was about to feel what Southern Negroes experience what permeated their souls. I was not afraid. I was confused. Nobody as yet had explained to me that fear that I should be feeling. I did not know that kind of fear. Yes, I had not yet experienced it. I knew what fear was, being afraid of a wild dog, a murderer, a thief, but I had yet to learn the other things out there that threatened little black girls. I did not understand. I was a New Yorker who lived in a community where we were all the same. We were less than none. I was not fearful of white folks. I just did not understand why my educated, soon to be a teacher, confident, strong, beautiful cousin, what she was talking about. I did not know why she was afraid. I had not seen any women in my family, white or black, afraid of anything, afraid of whatever it was she was afraid of. The women in my family are Amazons, proud, strong, resilient, unafraid, warriors, Amazons, proud. Later she explained, when she thought we were safe, when she thought we had made it to safety, like runaway slaves. Once she had explained the situation to me, I was more unsafe than ever, because I, at 7, was appalled and angry, still not afraid. Did Mommy know about this, I wondered? It was around 1956 and separate but equal was in full effect. I had ordered food from the wrong area, for whites only. I will never forget standing in a very familiar looking environment, yet shaken into the reality that this was not my familiar environment. And I still did not understand. But my college educated, soon to be a teacher, cousin Tutu, nicknamed that because she was considered just to be too much, understood all too well that we were venturing to the midst of danger, that just being black landed you in danger, like approaching quicksand. You sometimes see it, and the one time you don't, you could die. But it's always there. You just have to learn to walk that walk, the being black in the South walk. But my New Yorker self, I had never experienced this. I had yet to be introduced to racism. I lived a very privileged life. Daughter of a business owner, stay-at-home mom, live-in housekeeper. What did I know about racism? I had lived in a cocoon, waiting to emerge. But I had to figure out what was going on. I sat on the train trying to figure out why what I had done was wrong. When I got to Virginia, I wrote my mom a letter. I walked through the fields, the dusty roads, and mailed the letter. I did not understand the South, but I, at 7 years of age, I knew I could not live there. My 5'1", 100-pound Aunt Rose flew down and stayed with us until my parents could drive down and get us. Remember, I come from Amazons. Sarah, who happens to be my 6-year-old granddaughter, sitting at the family-style lunch table with her schoolmates, casually asked, "Am I invited to your birthday party?" Her best friend, who just happened to be white, quickly answered for the birthday boy. He doesn't invite black people to his house. You're not invited to the party. My granddaughter just looked at her best 6-year-old white friend as she uttered those words at their family-style lunch table. Sarah just kept eating and avoided her friend for the rest of the day. When her friend felt the shift in their relationship, she asked, "What's wrong, Sarah? What's wrong?" And Sarah simply replied, "You hurt my feelings." On the bus, on the train, whatever, I should have said to somebody, the situation, my cousin, society, "You hurt my feelings." Maybe somebody would have heard the hurt in "you hurt my feelings." Maybe someone would have understood, because at that time, I did not. Again, this is what I did. I walked through the fields, down the dusty roads, secretly, making my baby sister stay at my grandfather's farm and promise not to tell. I made my way to the post office. "Mommy, come and get us. We do not like it here." My aunt flew down, stayed until my parents got there by car. The women in my family, who were known to me, were all Amazons, unafraid, every one of them. I realized that that included me, that I would fight this ugly, unfair situation like saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing to a white person as an Amazon, unafraid, like my mother, like my granddaughter Sarah.
So I have the distinct pleasure of trying to follow. I'm trying to follow that. So again, thank you so much for being here. You've already built into what we're doing. Your support is evident by the fact that you are here. You're here supporting our honorees. You're here supporting our founder, our executive director, all the people who make this operation work. And of course, you're here supporting our writers and all of the stories that they've told and that are yet to be told. But we always got to ask you for just a little bit more, right? You have these beautiful gold bags on the center of your table. In addition to adding a little bit of flair, they also are receptacles for more gifts. Now, we do this table appeal every year because we know that being in this environment around one another hopefully inspires us just to do a little bit more. And I was gonna sort of come up and talk about some of the specific threats we have with respect to some of the funding. We know that President 45 is cutting, a lot of funding for the arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, a lot of the way that Herstory is funded and supported. We're looking at maybe not having that. And so I was going to come up here and really talk about how important it is for all of us to continue whatever we have to build into what we're doing, because we might be in a really difficult situation over the next couple of years when it comes to funding. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to come here from a position of weakness. I'm going to come here from a position of strength.
All right.
This is not Donald Trump's America. This is our America. Our strength lies in each individual story that is to be told. Our strength lies in the fact that we may not have a lot, but we have a little, and we are good enough, and we are connected enough, and we believe in what we are doing enough that your dollar and your dollar and your dollar and your dollar put together is stronger than any president who wants to take anything away from us. We are strong because we have people like Linda Mejias who say, I'm going to build into this. I'm going to bring my network. I'm going to bring what I have, and I'm going to build. We are strong because we have people like Anissa Moore, who said, I'm just a regular person who decided I wanted to do something and stepped up and became the first African American woman to be on the Long Beach City Council. We are here because of people like Serena LaGlory, who said, I have a story to tell. I've been somewhere and I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm not ashamed about it. I'm going to use it to build into other people. We are here because of the stories of the young people we heard, who said, I may not like the skin I'm in right now, but I'm going to figure out a way to love myself so much that I'm going to be able to tell a story that may help you love yourself. We are here because of people who say, I am strong because I smile, because I'm benevolent, because I am good, and I will not respond hate with hate, I will respond with love. We are here and we are strong because each individual person has decided that we will not let anything deter us and we will not let anything stop us. So I'm not afraid of funding, federal funding cuts. I'm not afraid of the things that are happening at the federal level right now, because all it is doing is holding up a mirror and showing us who we really are. We are strong, we are powerful, we are beautiful people. Part of my story, my Herstory story, when I first started working in Long Island, I lived in Brooklyn. And I met Erica and Serena, and they said, we have this wonderful writing workshop. I was doing work in the Nassau County Jail. I wanted to learn more about the island and the place and the people who worked here. I wanted to make connections, and they said, oh, we have this wonderful group out at the Riverhead Library at 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. I'll go out to there, and I got on the LIE, and I started driving and driving and driving. And finally, I saw a sign that said Riverhead, 40 miles, and I was like, excuse me, I'm driving off the end of the earth here. So I get there, and we're sitting in a circle, and as was mentioned, there were formerly incarcerated folks there, justice folks, people that I'm used to being around, and then there was this really strong, beautiful, powerful black woman who was corrections officer, Lieutenant Darlene McClurkin. And I sat there, and I did something that I have to admit at that point I didn't do a lot of, and that was listen. And I listened, and I watched her, and I was just so captured by the fluency with which she moved about the space, that she talked and spoke from a position as a corrections officer, but really connecting with people who were formerly incarcerated and really bridging and building a bridge. And I sat there and I said, wow, I had to check some bias and some thoughts that I had, because I wanted to come in and say, you are this and I'm that. I'm on this side of the table and I want something, and you're on that side of the table, and what you want is something different. And even somebody who is coming to build community, I had to realize that there are always blockages, right? And that's what stories do. That's what personal testimony does. It breaks down the walls, whether we see them or not. They exist. We live in the society, right? And we are a part of it. We're not separate from it. And she helped me check that day. And I became a better advocate. I became a better lawyer. And I became a better person. And I do owe a lot of that to Lieutenant Darlene McClurkin. She's not here physically with us, but these stories, the connecting that's happening, the love that we feel in this room lets me know that her presence and her spirit is a part of her story and will always be that. So in addition to appealing to you to put $1, $1, $1 nickel, whatever you have, put it in there as an act of resistance, but also put it in there as an act of solidarity and love. Also proud to announce that Lieutenant McClurkin's daughter, who's here with us, Bobby, please stand, be recognized, has helped to start a fund in her honor. So in addition to building into her story, we ask that you also consider donating to the Lieutenant Darlene McClurkin Legacy Fund. You can do that right here. You can also do that on a link on our website. Thank you so much. And I really do mean that. In these times, we can choose to be afraid. We can choose to let that narrative be what defines us, or we can stand up in our own truth, we can tell our own truth, and we can live every day as an act of resistance. We will get through this because we are stronger than this. Okay?
Yes.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I just came today to listen to Jason. Forget the rest of the show. Thank you so much. And now you know why he's our treasurer. I want to just talk a little bit about something he mentioned. For those of us who are in this room, I say this every year, Erica gave me an unbelievable opportunity to be executive director. And I am incredibly grateful, not for just the position, but because Erica is one of the people who does not see what you have done or where you have been. And as somebody who was formerly incarcerated, I can say proudly that I am here because I had this opportunity. Thank you. To each and every one of us who are in this room, who are behind jail cell bars, you know who you are. You are my friends, my sisters, my brothers, and we are here to say that we matter. Our skin matters, who we are matters, where we've been matters, and that's what Herstory is all about. There is somebody here who exemplifies this every day. You know her probably much better than me because she's in the field. Helen Dorado Alessi is on the ball. She's at every single workshop. She's working with every single college, all of our coordinators, and she travels all over Long Island doing our program oversight and consultant work. Helen, please come join us. Thank you so much, Helen.
It's really my pleasure to be here. It's what I look forward to all year, but I have to be honest, I look forward to every single workshop I'm a part of. The facilitators do work with the young people, formerly incarcerated, those in the jails. I mean, you guys are just the strongest, smartest, giving people on the planet. And I'm so proud to be a part of your lives and the life of Herstory. So much so that I saw from one of the board meetings a little slip of paper that said the dream was to take Herstory beyond Long Island. And I'm working very hard with Serena and Erica to try and make that a reality. We have the people from Winthrop Rockefeller Foundation coming up from Arkansas to see this work. They are starting to think about how can they use this in their grant making and with their grantees. How to hold up the voice in Arkansas. And as we all know, there's been an execution in Arkansas. They need this work as much as anybody else does, my friends. The other place that we're looking to take it through, Hispanics in Philanthropy, that is a national and transnational organization who is coming up to talk to us as well about going to Mexico, South America, and the rest of the United States. So please pray for us, please help us, please inspire us. I also wanted to mention really quickly that we have my really good friends and students from LIU Post. Thank you. Can we have a round of applause? And Westbury High School, our newest group to come online. We've got 10 college students writing like superstars and 10 high school students doing this thing. So thank you so much for being a part of our work. I want to thank Diana from Adelphi University for making our work so special, and Yvonne from Hofstra as well. Who did I miss? I don't know. Oh, my Long Beach buds. My Long Beach pals. Okay. So it is my honor at this time to put on my glasses because I can't see either. I'm here to introduce our next honoree, Anissa Moore. At first, I was going to tell you all about Anissa's firsts. Being the first Black city council person of Long Beach, a city of 35,000 people. I was going to tell you that she was the first council person to organize a Martin Luther King event at City Hall. I was going to tell you that she was the first person to call for and host a citywide vigil on behalf of those slain at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. And that she was the first person to call me to see if our Herstory writers of Long Beach High School could read out their names in a way that would show respect. Respect shown by pronouncing every single Hispanic name properly. You could applaud that. She was the first to organize a program of Herstory readers under the auspices of Nassau Community College's Civility Program, where young people could hear the stories of hope, courage, and justice. This was after symbols of hate, swastikas, were found scrawled on campus. I was going to tell you all about that. Instead, I want to introduce this year's Commitment to Justice honoree by telling you what she has inspired in all of us. She has passion for the power of story, voice, and resistance. The story of those in marginalized communities, the voice of those who need to tell their story of truth to the world in order to better their lives and that of their communities, and resistance to the status quo of injustice. Her deep independent nature and belief that through policy and education, justice can become a reality for all of us, no matter the community or the country we come from. On behalf of Herstory Writers Workshop, I am proud to present this award to Anissa Moore.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
First, I'd like to thank the Herstory Writers Workshop, and I'm just truly honored and humbled to receive this award. I'd like to thank Helen because it was Helen who actually invited me to attend my first Herstory Workshop, and I've been there ever since. And so I really appreciate you. And obviously to Erica and Serena and just so many others who were here this afternoon. I'd like to once again pause to celebrate our honorees, to Jason, to Linda, to the Hofstra University partners. Again, I'm humbled to be in such great company. Because I am a writer and because I'm also a college professor by day, I actually placed my notes here because I did not want to go beyond the time because I'm very passionate. So I'll say what I need to say quickly. I'll say this, that Maya Angelou said it best. She said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. And I am indeed grateful today for the opportunity to partner with the Herstory Workshop because I've had the opportunity to not only witness lives being transformed, but also I've been empowered myself with the sharing of personal stories and the breaking of silence. And I'd like to pause for a moment to celebrate my mom who is here. She just kindly stand quickly, Mom, Beverly Moore. I want to thank you because a part of the African American tradition is telling stories. We are known for telling stories, and I grew up in a house where, as one of the young ladies said earlier, you have to you're not allowed to be a part of the adult conversation. But a part of our story is we continue to tell our story throughout generations, and it seemed as if no one was listening. And so we continue to struggle with that. But I'd like to thank NCC, Nassau Community College, for the opportunity to serve as a faculty member for 21 years now, and to have the opportunity to infuse social justice into my classroom curriculum. I've been doing that for years, using poetry, using hip-hop, presenting speeches, allowing my students to present speeches on controversial topics. And so social justice has really been a means for me to once again transform the community. Thirdly, I'd like to thank my community who was here from the North Park community, and I'll just introduce you quickly and you'll just stand. I'd like to thank the president of Concerned Citizens of North Park, Jaquetta Odom, along with Mr. Larry Wade, who is also an executive board member, to Ronnie Miles, the former NAACP Long Beach representative, and also Ron McHenry in his stead, because in 2015, on November 3rd, 2015, we decided that we needed to take a stand for justice. And not only did we take a stand, we prevailed. We changed the history of Long Beach forever because we were told that we could not do it. And I had no intention of running for a political office. I'm too busy grading my papers. But when they said no, that was really my motivation because I just don't believe in that word. So, so we prevailed. And so I say to you today, despite all this happening around our country, the attacks that are against us as women, as immigrants and children of immigrants, the attacks against black men, against little black girls, the attacks against the poor, the attacks against the incarcerated, the attacks against those who do not have a voice, that justice delayed does not mean that justice will be denied. And so we stand today to say that there is an army rising up in 2017. People from all backgrounds, people from all faiths that are standing up for justice. People like myself, and I'm proud to be in that number, and I'm proud to be a part of a community like all of you who are standing up for justice. I stand for justice, and it's a life goal and a life fulfillment, actually, because I stand on the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, who said that nobody's free until everybody is free. And so I want to leave you with the words of another one of my favorite people, Dr. Cornel West, who said we have to recognize that there cannot be relationships unless there is commitment, unless there is loyalty, unless there is love. That we cannot exist unless there is patience, unless there is persistence. So let us never forget that justice is what love looks like in public. Let's continue to do this work, and let us continue to be justice makers within Nassau County and within our country. I thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Anissa. And we'll bring up our next writer. Chris is a workshop member who has been with us for many years. He began as a high school student and has continued through SUNY Old Westbury. And even after SUNY Old Westbury, he's continued to partner with us, coming by bus to our community workshop. He's a determined young man. And so I'd like Chris to come up and share his writing with you.
Wow. First off, give a round of applause to yourselves. The readers was all, the reading pieces were inspirational, amazing, something that I have to look forward to on my next piece. A week ago, I was at a award ceremony. They call it the Honor Society, and it was ran by the Alpha Delta Pi, which is a sorority organization. And I was there because I just came to see them honoring students with disabilities. And just to hear their stories, it was really heartbreaking, really motivational, really inspirational. And students who were crippled, students who were autistic, students who had mental disorder, hearing loss and stuff like that. So it makes me emotional, it makes me overwhelmed because I too have a disability. So with that said, does anyone of you know anybody with disability? Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the program. I am psychologically infected this semester. Why? Because waking up every morning, getting ready, being steady, performing personal hygiene to be clean, wearing wrinkled clothes, looking back and forth at the digital clock from the Cablevision cable box only to manage time to eat breakfast, but I couldn't get to it. Well, it's 11:50 a.m. I gotta get out of here. I gotta leave, I said to myself. I was manhandling my conscience to stay convinced. My mom was playing tricks on me, but yet I exited out my bedroom. Bonjour. Bonjour, petite moi. Me and my step-aunt greeted each other passively. Her care assistant joined in with her. They're both in her bedroom politicking every morning. After I dashed downstairs, "Mommy, I'm leaving!" I screamed my deep morning voice. Mom was in bed in her bedroom with the door locked. No knob, one keyhole. "Oh, you leaving, sweetie?" Mom asked with the hoarseness that occurs only in the morning. And I responded, "Yes." "Où prend bagarre pour manger?" "No, I'll eat at the campus." "You have money in your car?" "Yes." "How much?" $1. "Come to my room to take out my bag for me." I rush to her room and take out her bag from one of the large bins in front of her bed. "Take out my wallet, there's $20, take it." I reluctantly took the money, kissed her in the cheek, and dashed out of the diamond glass back door from the stuffy kitchen. Now I gotta run through Main Street to get to the bus terminal. The bus fare has been raised by 25 cents. The bus drivers are on the money now, I suppose. They used to be late on purpose. My legs were burning from all of this running, dehydration, hunger, no money to buy food or drink, but the card has been refilled. I find it hard to ask people for money, and I didn't want to look for a job because I don't want it to become a burden to my college education. The stress, I tell you, the stress. One slide for $2.75 after surviving a long line of hopelessness, homelessness, famishness, oppression. Hempstead, I will see you later and hope that you treat people better. And please, give the wheelchair man some money for a good recovery because he's gonna need it. Sincerely yours, Chris. "You got some money for some coffee?" The wheelchair man asked with a soft, dying tone. And I glanced at him for the numerous time for, I don't know how many times I've seen him, but it's been a while now. For the upteenth time, I told him, "No, I have no money on me. I'm broke, just like him." I wish I could tell him that, but I was nervous. Nervous that he was going to, catch a felony on me. Anyway, I turned my head towards the Long Island bus, the Nassau Intercounty Express. The line was moving very slow. Nervousness transformed into anxiousness. Slow-ass passengers. I could still see the wheelchair man in the side of my eye. Now he's begging at the other bus waiters. Even they denied to serve him. I wasn't worried about the other bums that were whispering amongst each other. Bum stories. I'm listening. Frankly, I'm interested in them, just not in the morning. Finally, it was my turn. I entered the bus. I took the wallet out of my pocket and put the card in the slide. 2 seconds later, the card popped up and I leaned over to the little red screen. 18-something dollars. That was all they had left. I took the card out of the slot, put it back in my wallet, put it back in my pocket, and I proceeded. I was searching for a seat, but everything was taken by all of these zombies. Even though there was an open seat right next to the window, they would not let you through. I hate it when they do that. I mean, what is so difficult for you to sit next to the window? You're going to save so many lives by leaving an open seat right next to the walkway. Anyway, to each his own, right? Springtime had just begun, but it was cold and sunny in Hempstead. Daylight saving times means less sleep for the common folk. Anxiousness transformed into guilt. It was embarrassed to worry about a seat when you have bums and a wheelchair man sitting outside in the cold. We're black and old, pressed under these flashy shoes of the system. It's just that I have the privilege that they lost. If only I had enough money. If only I had enough power. And in the next half hour, the same thought occurred when I saw another bum sitting outside of the Hicksville train station. The shuttle bus had arrived. Another bus ride, and I was hungry as hell. I was contemplating whether I wanted to go to class or not. Power 105 was blasting in the stereo. The same songs were in rotation over and over again. Took out my Galaxy just to check if there was any new music coming. but I was out of luck. And then you have colleagues whispering amongst each other. The psychological game had just begun. Newbridge, Broadway, 107 North, Hicksville, Jericho, the edge of Brookville. Just turn left already, run the light, there's no cars around, I said eagerly. Well, I thought eagerly. I just wanted the day to be over with. There was somebody that I wanted to meet. She gave me butterflies. Momentarily, we arrived at the campus. I hopped out of the bus and dashed down the geese, pathway full of geese, hoping that I made it to class. These random thoughts were racing against me. My polo boots cannot match the speed. It's like I can see my thoughts draft behind each other and they vanish by all of their tire smoke. My train of thought was long enough to tie up a human body. Why did I have these thoughts? Was it because of my mom's expectations? I was thinking too long and hard about what my mom envisioned. Good school, scholarship, nice career, big house, good wife, more kids, my motor license, be a good Christian, etc. The more I thought about it, the more apathetic I would be. That was one of the reasons why I procrastinated ever since I set foot in this campus. It was the fear of me, it was the fear of my mom going against what I know based on religion, culture, values, etc., what's going on in the world and stuff. I love her to death, and I appreciate her lessons. And I know she meant well for more than a decade trying to raise 2 kids. For more than a decade, she kept the love fresh with my stepfather, who dragged her out of the house fire of agony, sadness, madness, pain from back in the 90s. I love her when they're together, but their disciplinary skills made me even more conscious and curious, and one day I will rebel against their priorities. Everybody got their own judgment on the college boy. Me, the anomaly. I am that, 21, the age of legality. I should feel the need to drink, but I don't feel like it. I never do. Maybe after when mom becomes an American citizen.
Okay, so, and you can see just the range of voices, and, you know, we were just so moved and excited when Chris found his way to the Westbury workshop, and just the seriousness with which he worked on this. And it didn't start as a dramatic piece, but it grew into that. So I would like to end the program by honoring our Hofstra partners, and I don't think the future of Herstory would be the same if I can look into the future, if not for the relationship that we've been building with Hofstra. Over Leanna Gurovich, who is the head of the criminology program, reminds me it's been 5 years now since she first introduced us to the Hofstra community and wanted the criminology students to write alongside young people who had been incarcerated, young people who were living in neighborhoods of crime, so that they could really, you know, understand from the heart. And that became our Youth Writing for Justice program, where we're now in 6 different school districts in Nassau, Suffolk, and Queens. And where we have 4 host colleges, other colleges affiliated, and you know, the passion of saying, I really want to change the criminal justice system. I don't necessarily want to train, you know, people to enforce it. And so that was the beginning, but then Leanna didn't stop. And she introduced us to Greg Maney, who can't be here today, who runs the Center for Civic Engagement, because we had that dream that really started so long ago with Pat Gorman saying, you have something there. Please try to replicate this. Please train other people. And so I always thought we should have a training institute. And I'm very thrilled to introduce them. Leanne and Yvonne come up because they're accepting the award for all of the Hofstra partners. So anyway, in Gray's sabbatical year, Leanna Teams, I love this, Yvonne Teams, who has been just our guardian angel in helping us to get a training institute off the ground. And since there are some people here new to Herstory, please here, if any of you are teachers, retired teachers, community organizers, human service providers who want to do some of the work we're doing, we're just thrilled to have a training institute now with 14-week practicum in the fall and a spring semester of wonderful field placements, including some Serena mentioned, like Rikers Island. So anyway, and the other project, and we don't have Jerry or Ethna with us today, is the digital archive. So that I'm hoping a year from now, we're going to be able to have the stories when people hear a reading and say, please send me the stories. It will be all organized with Library of Congress categories. And just in terms of the Institute, we have Gianna and Emily stand because they're our young Hofstra Institute people. And the other people who are here today is Daphne, Gina, Andrea, and let's see, I guess Helen, of course Helen in that role. So, and they've just grown amazingly as facilitators, so we're just thrilled. And so it's just been, I've just loved working with all of you. It's so exciting. So, and we have paintings for the people who aren't here that you can deliver as well. So. And just before closing, I want to say, that thanks, Serena, so much for what you said, but it's just been a really amazing experience working together. We have an unusual model in this dual directorship, and it's been exciting, challenging, and just seeing you all today. I'm just so grateful to everybody who's made it possible, and to Serena.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Serena. I cherish my relationship with Herstory. Students just love the program. They come back after they complete the internship, and they're just better people. They're better equipped to enter this world, especially the world we find ourselves in now. And empathy is important. We want to create empathetic institutions, and Herstory is really on the front lines of that. So I'm looking forward to many, many years to come. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to Herstory. I mean, you've honored Hofstra today, which we're really humbled by, but I also want to, as I was driving out here today, I thought there's so much that Herstory has done for Hofstra students. You've allowed our students to connect with the wonderful students from Long Beach High School and from other area high schools. You've allowed our students to learn how to become facilitators, which is an incredible honor. You've allowed our students opportunity to engage in qualitative research, to engage in digital research, and you've allowed, I think, our students, as Leona said, to grow in their capacity for empathy. And so I just want to thank Herstory for that. Thank you especially Erica, Helen, Andrea. It means so much to us.
I just want to also acknowledge Scotty Codes from the NAACP for joining us. Thank you so much, Scotty, for being here. And Assemblymember Mikhail Salages, thank you for joining us as well and championing Raise the Age with us. Thank you. And I'd like to ask our board members to come up to the front right now. Barbara and Linda and Jason and who else do we? Daphne, of course. We just want to grab all of our board members to officially, Eileen, to thank you for being with us. We have we'll be drawing our raffle in a moment. Irene will come over to draw the raffles up. But I just wanted to also acknowledge, because this work is not something we can do alone, but it's something that we can do with a fabulous and empowered board who supports and guides us. So thank you to all of our board members and our fabulous board chair who has listened to me on the phone many hours and been a wonderful support. Thank you. Thank you all. And with that, I'd also like to acknowledge, which we have, Gwen Duncan is here, Erica's daughter, who is the artist for our painting today of Voices United, Voices of Resistance. Thank you, Gwen. All right, and with that, we want to thank you for coming, and we will begin to draw our raffle prizes for those who put into the raffle. We're going to ask Irene to come up and draw names. The painting is also being auctioned. The starting bid is $500. If anybody is interested in taking this wonderful painting home, that is also available. That's a silent auction item. Okay, let's pick the first. Actually, can I get a student? Does anybody want to volunteer to pick a raffle ticket for me? What do we have? Yes, come on over. Come pick the raffle ticket. Our first item is Two Women, the Clock and the Train, the print. It's the painting, and we have a bunch of tickets in here, so we'll have our student come up and pick.
Who has 9220825? I'll repeat it. The name is Andrea Davis.
We know who you are.
Congratulations. Sure.
All right, this is a $150 gift card from Target. If you don't want it, you can just slap it right on over here.
All right,
we got.
Doesn't have a name on it, but it says 9220796. Here you go.
Chris. We got it?
You got it?
You got it, Chris.
I'll repeat it. 9. Oh, you got it?
There we go. Yeah. Do we have the actual? Hold on to this and we'll get you the gift card.
This is the raffle for the 1 hour massage session, Elements Massage of Smithtown, valued at $100. And the one for this is, the winner is number 9220782. Their name is Michelle Moreau? Michelle Moreau. Alright. This one's for the Cheesecake Factory worth $100. And we got number 9220667. And the name's Simone. Okay, the next one is again for cheesecake, except the value is at $50. The winning number is 9220762. And John Scher.
John Scher.
John Scher.
John, congratulations.
All right.
Yes.
The winning of this painting is number 9220806.
Nice. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Well, you first time for everything. Thank you so much. Nice beer. Yeah, you too. Congratulations. What else we have? One more. That's a overnight stay here. Overnight stay here at the Three Village Inn.
All right, the next one is for an overnight stay. This is the last one. And we got, the winner is number 9220768. And their name is Francis. Franny?
Frank. Frank.
Frank.
Oh, good for her. Lucky her. Thank you. Okay. All right. So before we wrap up, we've got to sell this beautiful painting. Now, I know some of you in here, so I know that there's some money in this room. That's the money man right there. See? All right. So, one of a kind, painted by Erica's daughter Gwen. Gwen, wave so everyone can see you again. All right, so we're gonna start the bidding on this beautiful painting at $500. Can I get $500 for this beautiful one of a kind painting of resistance? $500. Linda Howard Weissman, I got $500 in the back. Can I get $550? $550. $550 for a one-of-a-kind painting. Every morning you look at this and you think resistance, right? $550. $525. I think you might have just bought this painting, Linda. $500 to Linda Howard Weisman. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you'll enjoy the rest of your day and finish your food with us. We have dessert coming. And thank you to all of our writers. A big round of applause for all of our writers today. Thank you.